This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
He says he will not apologize for defending Azerbaijan's sovereignty and national interests, while focusing on the country's economic development. He's keen on preserving his country's national identity and cultural heritage. He believes that Azerbaijan does see eye to eye with China on many of the global issues. And he notes that China's global circle of friends is expanding. In this exclusive interview, we sit down with Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Leaders Talk, where we meet leaders, thinkers, and trailblazers. I'm Wang. Our crew is in Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan, and our guest today is the president of the country, Mr. Ilham Aliyev. Now, located in the Caucasus between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, bordering Russia to the north and Iran to the south, Azerbaijan's unique location gives the country outsized influence on global trade and global geopolitics. Now, 30 years after its independence from the former Soviet Union, where is the country heading? And what kind of a unique relationship is it forging with China? Here's my conversation with President Aliyev. His Excellency President Aliyev, thank you so much for inviting us to your country, for accepting this interview. We've been here in Baku for 3 days only, but we're really impressed by how modern this city and this country is. And everywhere you go, there is an Azerbaijani touch.
First of all, welcome to Azerbaijan. Thank you for coming, and thank you for paying attention to our country. And I'm very glad that you are spending in Azerbaijan several days, so that will be a good time in order to know our country, our people more. And you're absolutely right that we preserve the authentic origin of our cities, of our achievements, and at the same time we are modernizing the country. So what you see in Baku is a combination of modernity and traditionalism, and I think they do not confront, they are not in contradiction. And that was done deliberately, because in such a historical city as Baku, first objective is to preserve our history, our architectural monuments, and at the same time to allow city to develop. And in Baku you can see both. So I think it's really important asset, and thank you for noticing that.
We've been to quite a number of cities, not as many as you have been, but I must say Baku is unlike any city that I've been to.
Thank you.
First of all, to begin our interview, Mr. President, we want to acknowledge that this is the 100th birth anniversary of your late father, the national leader, Gaidar Aliyev, who was not only considered the national leader, the founding father of modern-day Azerbaijan, but really a founder of Chinese-Azerbaijani friendship. So first of all, our respect.
Thank you very much. You're absolutely right. Gaidar Aliyev was a man who put Azerbaijan on the track of development, put an end to civil war, to disorganization of the country, to chaotic situation which existed in the beginning of 90s, and elaborated the foreign policy and domestic policy priorities which we are following now. Of course, the world has changed for 30 years, but our primary objectives has not changed. This is a strengthening of our statehood, our proactive foreign policy based on our national interests, and economic and social development of Azerbaijan, along with very active regional policy. And of course, the main objective from the first days of independence was a restoration of territorial integrity of our country, which has been achieved something more than 2 years ago. And you're absolutely right. He played a very important role in the development of Chinese-Azerbaijani relations. His visit to China and meetings with the Chinese leaders actually created a framework for our cooperation. At that time, Azerbaijan was not very well known in the world. Therefore, that was a foundation, and I'm very glad that now relations between our two countries develop very successfully, cover many more areas, so agenda is much broader than it was 30 years ago, and they're based on mutual respect and friendship.
Many Chinese viewers noticed that besides the official agendas of your father, the late president's visit to China, he would visit average Chinese families to check out the lives of everyday Chinese people, sitting with Chinese families, shaking hands with primary school kids, visiting the Chinese countryside. Actually, we got some photos here that we thought might need some further elaboration from you. This photo was taken in the 90s, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Between him and a Chinese family, sitting
yes,
among
but
the people.
this is actually illustrates what you said, that he was really very interested not only in official contacts, but also to establish people-to-people relations. And this photo actually demonstrates that.
And this one, he was obviously interacting with a primary school student, I guess,
yes.
Who sent him a birthday present. You like it?
Yes. Yeah, really, that's good illustration of what you've mentioned.
And of course, the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, the tours over there.
Yes.
So, how would your father tell you about China and his China trips? What was China like to him? And then, how do you see the continuity of this friendship from one generation to another?
Well, actually, for him, China was not something which he had to discover. He was well aware about the development of China in different times. When he was a senior deputy prime minister of the Soviet government, he had many occasions to meet Chinese representatives. And he was well aware about the dynamism, the development of your country. And when he became president of independent Azerbaijan, of course, one of the main foreign policy priorities was to establish bilateral relations. And I remember when he returned from his official visit to China, he was very impressed. He saw the growing power. That was almost 30 years ago. He saw a consolidated society and a country which has its very clear objectives. And meeting with ordinary people actually was part of his character. It was natural that he wanted also to have this feedback from ordinary Chinese people. So actually, the foundation of our bilateral relations were laid after that historical visit, and since that time, they have a very big potential for dynamic development.
You recently described China-Azerbaijan relations as excellent.
Right.
Where do you think it is, and how do you want to take it to the next level?
Yes, I can only confirm what I said. I consider relations excellent. And this analysis, this word, also covers a very broad agenda of bilateral relations and very clear prospects for future cooperation. I think what has been achieved in bilateral relations between us was only the beginning of the very long journey, I hope, journey of strategic cooperation. Because today, when we look at the political map of the region and also on map of transportation routes, we see how our countries are closely aligned with each other. For instance, if we take basic issues on global international agenda, our positions coincide. They coincide on issues related to sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity, non-interference into affairs of other countries. They coincide on issues related to economic cooperation, and we see the growing numbers of mutual trade and especially the potential. We see the emerging new transportation routes which will unite our countries even more in the future, and that will be also a big contribution to regional security and stability, because when countries are united in a format of cooperation which is mutually beneficial, it adds to regional stability, predictability, prosperity, and development. So with respect to foreign policy priorities and agenda, I see a lot of similarity between the policies of China and Azerbaijan, as well as in any other direction. And relatively recently, our relations have been intensified even more. And of course, my meetings with President Xi Jinping play an important role in elaboration of the direction, and they put very clear targets.
You talk about your meeting with President Xi. You met him on several occasions. Yes. What do you think of him as a leader? What kind of person does he strike you as?
I had a chance to meet President Xi Jinping many times in China and also on the sidelines of international events. I always was impressed with his vision, his intelligence, being deeply aware about the substance of our cooperation, about prospects of our cooperation, really demonstrate that President Xi is a very responsible person. And that is the result, this resulted in the very successful foreign policy. And you know that year after year, the number of friends of China in the world is growing. And this is due to this wise policy. And we can only, applaud to what he is doing in development of his country, in providing assistance to those who need this assistance. And this, I think, is one of the unique cases on global arena, especially now, when you just help countries which need help and which cannot get assistance on time and from other sources. I can give you one example about Azerbaijan. When COVID started, we were in a big trouble because we did not have vaccines. And the only country which helped us with vaccines was China. I wrote a letter to President Xi asking to help, and immediately there was a response. We got the first portion of 1 million doses, and we started vaccination in the middle of January, so one of the first in the world. And that was because his policy to help, you know, and how can we forget that? I had many meetings with President Xi Jinping, and as a person, he is very friendly, very respectful, very open, and really, I also, as a person, enjoy communicating with him.
Talking about connectivity and infrastructure projects, how do you look at the merits of the Belt and Road Initiative?
You know, one of the targets for our development was to transform Azerbaijan into one of the regional centers for connectivity. Because if you look at the map, you'll see the geographical advantages of Azerbaijani geography, which is situated just on routes from north to south and east to west and backwards. But lack of transportation infrastructure actually created a situation that our geography was not used. And I was absolutely sure that we can improve that. So we started to invest largely in transportation infrastructure, in handling the cargoes. Our trade seaport was inaugurated several years ago with a capacity of 15 million tons. Now we are upgrading it up to 25 million tons. We are building more vessels in the Caspian, though we have the biggest trade fleet in the Caspian among all other Caspian littoral states, but we are building new vessels, tankers and cargo fleet in order to be able to bring more cargoes. Now we're planning to expand our shipyard so that we can produce not from 6 to 8, but maybe from 10 to 20 vessels per year, because the need for vessels in Azerbaijan and also in the Caspian is growing. We are now modernizing the existing railroad in order to allow more cargoes to pass. So the speed of trains will be higher. So we are doing a lot in order to be well prepared for big cargo flow. We enjoy year after year the growing transportation, cargo transportation across Azerbaijan, but I think that the figures can be several times higher. For that, we are actively working also with our Chinese partners and our neighbors to establish this infrastructure connectivity and also administrative connectivity, because we need to have single policy on tariffs. We need to have more interconnection with respect to customs regulations and how to say, to open this gate broadly.
Data show that shipping goods from China to Europe takes 36 days on average by sea, 20 days through the Trans-Siberian route, without geopolitical disruptions, as you said, obviously, and only 12 days through the middle corridor using the Baku, Tbilisi car railway.
Exactly.
And that is big.
Yes, this is true, and that is why, by the way, we launched and we initiated the construction of this route, because this route did not exist. It's a new transportation connectivity infrastructure which was initiated by Azerbaijan and was actively supported by our partners in Turkey and Georgia. And in 2017, here in Baku, we had the official inauguration of that project. And at that time, the transportation through the middle corridor was not yet a kind of one of the priorities. Therefore, we invested as much as it was needed for volume of cargoes. But what we are doing now, we already started several months ago. We are upgrading this road, and it will handle 5 times more cargo than originally.
Yeah, you talk about the cultural value of connectivity of the Belt and Road Initiative, Mr. President. Actually, we were in Mugam Club restaurant 2 days ago, and we were thoroughly impressed by what we saw there. That was, of course, the old caravanserai for people to rest and recover from the ancient Silk Road. Being there feels like time stopped, as if you could see people, commerce, cultures mingle and blend. How do you see the cultural value of trade, of what Chinese call the Belt and Road Initiative? And I know in this country you have this plan to revive the ancient Silk Road as early as the 1990s.
Yeah, definitely. This will create additional spirit, or will contribute to the spirit of friendship and interaction. Because countries which were situated on the Asian Silk Road, one of their, specifics or similarity is that they have a diverse societies, multi-ethnic and multi-confessional societies, and Azerbaijan is part of that positive scenario. Therefore, cultural heritage of Azerbaijan, as you can see with your own eyes, is something which is duly protected by our state, and for us it is a asset which we need to keep, preserve, and hand over to new generations so that they do the same. We managed to preserve our cultural heritage for centuries.
Back in the day, I was a Washington, D.C. correspondent for 8 years, and I must say I learned a lot in both directions. So, talking about the biased portrait from the Western media of non-Western countries such as Azerbaijan and China. Of course, you don't think that they did justice to these countries, but why do you think is the case? What are the factors behind their misrepresentation and misportrait of the non-Western world, including China and Azerbaijan?
The main reason, I think, is that Azerbaijan pursues independent policy based on its national interest. Azerbaijan, unlike some countries, do not engage in any adventure which is not in line with our priorities and our national interests. In other words, we behave independently and our policy is independent. And some people in the West, they are used to different kind of scenario. They are used to the answer which actually says, yes, sir, and in our case, it will never happen. We will defend our identity and our dignity with all the means which we have. So I think this is a basic reason why Azerbaijan continues to be a target for media attacks, attacks from so-called independent NGOs. We all know that they are not independent. Who can say that human rights, Amnesty International, Freedom House are independent? Look from whom they get the money, who orders the music, and then you will see. They're totally dependent, and they cannot afford even one step right and left which is not agreed with their bosses. But you know, we managed to live in this environment. For me, the most important is not what Western media write about Azerbaijan, but what people of Azerbaijan think about the policy of our government. And as you can, you know, see, and if you talk to the people, you will see what they think about our government, whether we are right thing or not, and the consolidation of our society and you know, strong support, strong public support is not only, of course, mainly generated by our policy and also liberation of the former occupied territory, but also it is a reaction to anti-Azerbaijani propaganda. And if somebody in the West think that by insulting the government officials, by spreading slander and rumors, they can influence public opinion of Azerbaijan, maybe they're right, but their influence is not in the direction they would like to see.
There's something that is very dear and near to the hearts of many, many, many Chinese. That is the issue of Taiwan. There's this outside intervention on the issue of Taiwan. You earlier said that you don't support efforts to try to split China. Can you elaborate?
Well, we always supported and continue to support China's territorial integrity and the policy of one China and the policy of reunification of China. This policy has been articulated many years ago and was reconfirmed on many occasions, and it is absolutely unchanged and will never be changed. First, because China for us is a friendly country. Second, because we always support laws and principles of international law. And international law cannot be treated selectively. And those countries who want to treat international law selectively will only lose their reputation, because international law clearly elaborates that territorial integrity principle is a fundamental principle of international law. Therefore, our position on one China policy is absolutely clear. And I hope that some Western governments also follow this position.
Let's talk about one of your favorite subjects, sports and fitness.
Good.
You posted a video of you doing pull-ups on your 60th birthday?
Yes.
15 of them.
I used to do more. I showed it only for the first time. Why I did it? Because I want our young generation to do the same. And I want to say that when you're 60, if you don't have bad habits, if you have regular sport exercises, you can do it.
It was impressive that you are transforming your personal passion for sport into something bigger. I mean, look at Baku. It's a site of F1 in downtown city. And also Baku hosted the Euro 2020, the 2015 European Games, the first of its kind. Really talk to us about your passion for sport. Why sport?
Well, first, because I love sport. Second, because I did sport during my life. Second, because sport is an important factor of life of society. Because when your athletes win, when they raise a flag, when they
national anthem,
yeah, you're full of emotions and you're full of pride. So that was an important factor of young generation to be patriotic. And also now we work on a massive sport, mass sport, so that we have sporting infrastructure in every region, and we already done it. At the same time, this is international prestige, because the first inaugural European Games, really, they opened Azerbaijan to Europe.
Finally, Azerbaijan is still a mysterious and remote country in the opinions of many everyday Chinese. I'm sitting with the president of the country, so I'm tempted to ask you, can you maybe tell the Chinese viewers of our program why Azerbaijan, why they should consider Azerbaijan as their next tourist destination?
Well, first of all, people of Azerbaijan are very friendly and hospitable. Second, we have a very modern hotel infrastructure. We have a diverse nature. We have 9 climatic zones, and the country's territory is not very big, so you can reach either by train or by car, or maximum by plane easily. Roads infrastructure is one of the best. Cuisine, I think, also one of the best.
We had so much kebab.
Thank you. And well, the weather is very friendly, so you can ski in the mountains, you can swim in the Caspian Sea, you go hiking, you go to see mud volcanoes, you go in the Karabakh mountains and woods, so lakes and rivers. So I think that, and also I think that Chinese tourists will feel that people of Azerbaijan have a very big sympathy with China.
President Aliyev, thank you so much once again for welcoming us into your country, and thank you for this interview.
Thank you.
President Aliyev says there has been good synergy between China's Belt and Road Initiative and Azerbaijan's plan to revive the ancient Silk Road. Many experts believe that the middle corridor, with Azerbaijan being a key hub, is emerging as one of the shortest routes connecting Asia and Europe, with great potential to boost trade, commerce, connectivity, and culture between the East and the West. Thank you for watching this episode of Leaders Talk. I'm Wang Guan in Baku, Azerbaijan. I'll see you again next time.